this is probably the first time you've ever seen anyone go outside and film a podcast, especially with an amazing background, an amazing scene that looks so beautiful. All right, so let's get into it. Enough with the talking. All right, let's get to more talking. If you really want something and you don't have it, don't say to yourself, I'm not motivated, okay? Instead, you want to say that that thing was really hard, or that thing is really hard to get, and that's why you don't have it, okay? Because if it was super easy, you would just already have it, okay? When something is super, super easy to get, and you're a little bit motivated to even do it, you just go do it, okay? But if something is actually hard, and you are motivated to do it, but you still don't have it, it's because you need something more. You need something discipline. That's what you need, okay? So you have to find a way, and it doesn't just hit you, okay? Everyone sits around and they think that motivation is going to hit them magically, like a thunderstorm is going to roll in, they're going to get struck by motivation instead of lightning. Okay, that's not how it works. That's not how life works, okay? You don't just get struck by a moment of motivation and emotional, emphasis to just go do something, okay? You have to implement that discipline, okay? And especially with the things that are actually worth doing, okay? Those things are hard. They're not easy. So you have to find a way to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's going to be hard. And I'm not just going to get struck by motivation, so I have to be disciplined to go do it, okay? And if you don't have it, and you're a little bit motivated, even if you're not motivated at all, and you don't have it, don't ever say, it's too hard, or this is too hard, okay? That's not how it works. You don't want to say, this is too hard, I'm going to wait till I get motivated, okay? What you should do is accept that, okay, this is hard. This is not easy. If it were easy, I would already have it. But it is hard, and that's why I don't have it yet, okay? Now you can start to own the situation. You can start to own that this is hard for me. Even if it's not hard for other people, you can accept that it's hard for you, or I can accept that it's hard for me, and that allows me to be like, okay, now I can own this situation. This is difficult for me to do, and now I can say that, guess what? It's hard for me to do because, or it's hard and I don't have the result yet because I'm not capable yet. Okay, and I always say I'm not capable yet because I don't ever want to put that limiter on me that I'm not capable of doing something. I don't ever say those words. Okay, I always say I'm not capable yet. And that allows room, that allows me to think to myself, okay, I can get into a situation where eventually I will be capable. I might not be capable right now. That thing might be too hard to get right now. I might be, not motivated enough. When in reality, the thing is just too hard to get. If it were easy, I would have it. Okay, it's not that I'm not motivated enough. It's because it's hard. Because there's some friction there. It's hard in some way. There's some sort of thing that's not allowing me to do it. And it usually comes down to what actually makes the thing hard. What actually makes it hard is that you have to be consistent with it. When you get consistent with something, the hard magically goes away because you end up just doing the thing over and over, and you get enough repetitions that the difficulty, the hard disappears, and what begins to show up is the capability that you need in order to figure out and get through that hard thing, okay? So sometimes you just have to accept that, look, this situation is actually just hard. It's not that I'm not motivated to do it. Don't ever tell yourself I'm not motivated, okay? That's dumb. Because you're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for something to strike you. Nothing strikes you. Have you ever just woken up one morning and you just magically been motivated? No. You have to experience something in order to get motivated, but you don't want to sit there and wait for that magical thing to happen and then you're magically motivated. Okay, you want to find a way to be like, you know what? This is hard. I need to be capable, more capable in order to do it. own that situation, own that it's hard, own that this is not easy or I'd already have it. And when you do that, then you can start to control it. Then you can start to move pieces around the board and you can say, okay, I know that this thing is hard. I know that it's hard for me. I know that I'm not capable yet, but I can build myself to a point of where I am capable of doing this hard thing, whatever it is. And that's also going to make you more capable of doing other hard things, and it's going to make you more successful everywhere. Next, my preface for doing something is asking myself, if I keep doing what I'm currently doing, am I going to get where I want to go? Okay, we all have these, like big strategic long-term goals that we're looking to get. Okay, and when we start doing stuff to try to get towards them, I want to think that, is what I'm currently doing actually ever going to get me there? Because if it is going to get me there, then I'm going to keep doing that. Okay, but most of the time, you can look at something that you're doing and think, okay, where is this going to go long term? If I were to do this 1,000 times, where is it going to get me in my life? Is it going to get me where I want to go, or is it going to get me where I don't want to go? Okay, and if it gets you where you want to go, then that's fine. Just keep doing it. But sometimes it's like, I'm doing this thing, it's not working, so I need to do something different. Okay, when you recognize that what you're doing now is not going to get you where you want to go, then you can start to change things, and then you can start to do different things. And then that's going to be like a moment where you go, oh, okay, I know I need to do something different now, and now I can actually take an action towards doing that. I can figure out what I need to think about, how I need to get there, what I need to plan to get there, or what I need to change in order to get where I need to go, or where I need to go long term. Okay? Next. Don't ever wait for motivation. Okay? And I'm gonna put this point in. The best time to start is when you are least motivated. Okay, that is the best time to start, because that is the only time you build the framework in your mind that isn't not emotional. Okay, when we think about motivation, motivation is basically you're waiting for an emotional charge in order to go do something. That's what motivation is. Okay, that's how we would define it. But when you wait for that motivation and then you are doing an action where you are motivated, what's going to happen is that you're going to be pulled in all these emotional directions when you're doing something. Okay, if you ever see someone who gets really emotional and they start doing all sorts of stuff to try to just get something to happen, that's because they're so emotional. So if you do something when you are not motivated, you start to do it correctly because you're not even motivated to do it. You're not even motivated while doing that thing. And so there's no emotion involved. You're not like sitting there trying to find a way to have some sort of motivation. You're going to have these emotional pulls in all these different directions and get off course. You don't ever want to get off course while you're trying to do something important. Okay? In motivation, or the emotional trigger that motivation causes, is what's going to get you off course. Okay? So don't wait for motivation. The best time to do something is when you are least motivated. Okay? And that's going to require, now look, it does. It requires a lot of discipline in order to do that, because you don't have this emotional thing that's, firing you up or releasing cortisol and all these things that motivation does. But if you have the discipline to do it anyways, what's going to happen is you're going to build the right framework in your life, and you're going to build the right framework in that area, whatever it is that you're pursuing. And it's going to be non-emotional, and it's going to allow you to just like flow. It's going to allow you to flow without all these emotional triggers and pulls and whatever, which is going to just make you really, really good at that thing. You're going to make a whole lot less mistakes if you're doing something and you're not emotional while you're doing it. You're just doing it because you're disciplined with it. Okay? And once you do something without motivation and you're just disciplined in doing it, and you build out this right framework, dude, you're a beast. You're a beast at that point, okay? And you can start putting that everywhere else too. You can build the framework in your mind, and build the circumstance where you go, okay, I need to go do this thing. Guess what? I don't feel motivated to do it, but I know that it's worthwhile. So I'm going to implement discipline and no motivation, and I'm going to do it exactly how I need to do it. And you're just going to rip through it. You're just going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so easy because I'm so focused. I'm not getting emotional while I'm trying to do this thing. I'm just getting down to what I need to do. I'm not worried about motivation and do I feel like doing it today, and none of that, okay? If you ever want great results anyways, you don't sit there and wait for, do I feel like doing this today? That never happens. That never pops up. You don't every single day feel like ever doing something, okay? If some of you have a job or you go to school, whatever, do you ever wake up every day and feel like you want to go to your job or you want to go to school? Probably not, okay? You probably don't hate it most days. You might hate it some days, but you enjoy it other days. But the point is that you don't feel like going every single day. You'll never feel that way. No matter how much you love it, no matter how much you hate it, okay? So what's required and what discipline stands for, what discipline means and the way that it shows up is that you're going to go do it anyways, even if you emotionally don't feel like doing it, okay? And when you can just show up and be disciplined doing something every single day, and you don't require motivation, you don't require lightning to come hit you, then you can just implement, execute, and win and become super successful by just using discipline to get you there. Once you can just use discipline, you don't need motivation, you just become extremely successful. Next. Waiting for motivation. Here's another one on motivation. Waiting for motivation is weak, okay? It means that you actually have a lack of discipline. So what we were talking about is that, okay, you have motivation on one side, you have discipline as well, okay? If you can just close the gap towards the discipline, you don't even need motivation. Motivation is this weak thing that people sit and they wait for and they hope shows up every single day. You don't want to sit there and wait for weakness, okay? If you have motivation on one side, you can view it as that, okay, yeah, it's a charge and whatever. But if you're too reliant on motivation, it's weakness, okay? If I'm reliant on getting a donut every single day, I'm emotionally charged and I feel emotionally fired up to get a donut every single day. That's weak. That's obvious weakness. Okay, if I'm reliant on anything in having something specific every single day, it kind of shows up as weakness. I'm motivated to go do this because of this. Okay, the reason that you're even motivated by something that's actually meaningful, you might say, my girlfriend motivates me. Okay, if you say that my girlfriend motivates me, you had to go through times where it wasn't fun with your girlfriend. And there are other times where it was fun with your girlfriend, but you didn't love every single second. There are some times where you had to be disciplined and you had to stick with her and you had to, it wasn't always great. Okay, and so even when it's not always great for you, for her, whatever, you had the discipline to say, I'm going to show up for this person. It's going to get clear eventually in recognizing that, look, I'm not in the perfect situation. This doesn't feel absolutely amazing or great or good, whatever, but I'm going to stick through it anyways. I'm going to have the discipline to keep going with it anyways. That is discipline. When things don't feel good, but you stick with them anyways because you know it's important. Okay? So find that discipline to be like, I see the long-term goal. I see the vision. It might be a dream. It might be a goal. It might be a strategic move in your life. Whatever it is, I see the value of that. And so even if it's hard, I'm not going to abandon it Because even if it's hard, I'm still gonna go do it anyways, because I see that there's so much value in it. Okay? Motivation is the opposite. It's this like thing where it's like, okay, now I feel good, now I'm gonna go do it. Okay, when you feel good and then you go do something, what happens? I'm good right now, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then I'm gonna not feel as good while I'm doing it. And so what's that gonna look like? Okay, well, I felt good, then I went and did the thing, and now I don't feel as good. So maybe I should just stop doing this thing. Because if I felt good, why would I continue to do things that don't make me feel good? Anyways, what you need to focus on is discipline. Okay? What happens is that motivation ends up looking like weakness because you're just sitting there waiting for something to strike you. When in reality, the discipline is the important thing to get, the important thing to have. Next, when something is ruining your life, just attack it on all fronts. Okay? Some people are into alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. Okay? When that thing is genuinely ruining your life and you can see it and you know it, and even if you haven't accepted it yet, but you know secretly that like it's kind of got its hooks in a little too much. When that thing is ruining your life and you can start to put it together like, man, what is that thing that's just killing me? And you see it, attack it on all fronts, okay? Your thoughts should be like, I hate this thing. I don't like this thing. Change your way of thinking about it so that you can genuinely go attack it. Because if something is actually ruining your life, you have to get rid of it. You can't stick with it because you're going to absorb all of the things that are going to destroy your life, ruin your life. And the more that you sit there in that ruined life mode, the more you're going to be like a person who lives a ruined life. And you don't want that. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to live a ruined life forever. Okay? So attack it on all fronts. And that might mean you have to think about it. That might mean you have to think about it a whole bunch. That might mean it might take up several hours of your day. But if it's ruining your life, it's worth it to attack it on all fronts so that you can get out on the other side where it actually looks greener, and then you can get more successful and build the thoughts that you need and build the habits that you need so you can get away from the bad stuff and that you can get towards the good stuff that's going to build your life up and make you more successful. Next, when you do something that's really hard and it genuinely feels difficult, that's where you can build emotional control. Okay, so if I go do something easy, what happens is that I don't really get any emotional control because the thing that I was doing anyways was actually just easy. Okay, so there's no challenge there. There's no thing that's going to allow you to build the mentality of I go do hard things and I feel like I know that those things are emotionally difficult for me. I get thoughts of self-doubt. I get whatever. I get all of this negativity that runs through me when I go do something hard. And that's how it works. But what that allows you to do is build that emotional control so that you can sit there and go, I am strong. I am a powerful human being. I don't care about all this negative words, negative thoughts, whatever it does that seeps in there. You can just ignore all of it. And you can say, I don't care. I'm going to do the thing anyways. And me doing this thing is proof that I'm not someone who doubts myself, someone who lacks self-belief, whatever. Okay? And so you get all these thoughts. If you go do something hard, you know this. Okay? If you go for a really long run or something, and that might be, a couple miles, that might be 100 miles. Okay? So when you go do that, you're going to have so many thoughts. Why are we doing this? Why am I going here? What is the point? All this crap that you don't want to end up dealing with. You don't even want to think those thoughts, and you know that. But when you can stifle those thoughts, when you can say, I'm not this person, I understand that these are bubbling up and they're telling me to stop and they're telling me whatever. They're telling me all this crap. I'm not the kind of person who stops. I'm not the kind of person who quits. I'm not the kind of person who doubts. And all of those thoughts that come up anyways, even though you know all of that, even though you know that you're not that kind of person, those thoughts still come up. You have to beat them. You have to override them. And you have to reinforce who you are, who you actually are. I'm the champion. I'm the best. I'm legendary. I'm the coolest ever. Okay? Once you start to say all of that stuff in replacement from the self-doubt and all that crap, then you start to level up your character. You go, that's weakness over there. That's weak stuff. I don't care about any of that weakness. When I'm on this run, this is proof that I'm the man, that I am the kind of person who goes out and does the hard things that I need to do, that feels all the weakness, okay? The fact that you even feel the self-doubt, the weakness, whatever it is actually proof that you're doing something hard. And when you have the proof that you're doing something hard, then you can go, okay, no problem. I'm not worried about that because I know I'm doing something hard. And so I can reinforce the thoughts that I am the kind of person who can do hard stuff, that is good enough, okay? So find that balance of doing something hard and creating emotional control. Now, you don't want your entire life, every single thing you do to be hard, but you should lean into a lot of hard things so that you can build that emotional control, okay? Be memorable and be magnetic, okay? So you want to be, someone who is remembered, okay? You want to be interesting or make people feel good, okay? Those are the kind of things that get you remembered. You want people to remember your name. If nobody remembers you, then you're nobody. And if you're a nobody, then what's the point of even being around, okay? And look, I know that's a bit harsh, but you want to be a memorable person because you want people to know your name. You want people to think about you or have a reputation, okay? And also, at the same time, you also want to be magnetic. And what happens when you become magnetic is, you have to go through a process of building things, building yourself and becoming magnetic and becoming memorable. And once you do that, you start to attract all sorts of things. You attract all these things into your life because you're magnetic, because things see the value in you. And once you become a valuable person, become a magnetic person, all the stuff that you're looking for in your life, all of these, goals that you're trying to achieve, all of these missions, all of this purpose you're trying to find, it all starts coming to you because you just are magnetic. If you're in the right place and you're at the right time, the right moment, whatever, and you are the kind of person that you need to be in order to get the goal, then you just attract it naturally, okay? And you start to attract the right people too. When they start to remember you, when you can make people feel a certain way, whether it's good or, great even, if you can make people feel great, they're going to remember you. And they're going to reach out to you and they're going to try to help you and they're going to try to benefit you, okay? Because they like to be around you. When people like to be around you and they find you memorable and they find you magnetic, they just gravitate towards you anyways. So find a way to be memorable as well as magnetic, okay? Because then all the stuff that you're trying to work towards, all the goals that you want in your life are just going to start coming to you once you're in the right place, okay? So if you build that character, that initial memorable magnetic character, all that stuff is just going to gravitate towards you, okay? And that's going to make you so much more successful. That's going to make your life so much better. And it's ultimately going to make everything so much easier. If everything comes to you when you're in the right moment, your life becomes so much easier. Okay, next. I am up earlier than any weakness approves of. Okay, so when I wake up in the morning, I am up at a time that is earlier than any weakness, any of that crap would allow for, okay? So if I wake up at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. or whatever, that's all weak. That's all weakness. I just lost my whole day. I haven't seen the sunrise. I'm going to be up all night. All this crap, okay? That's all weak. I don't allow weakness. Okay, what I do allow is strength. So I wake up at a strong time every single day. And this isn't necessarily about time and this and waking. This is about weakness versus strength. Okay, I don't want to be a weak person. So I don't allow weak things into my life. And if I wake up at 1 p.m., I would feel, I don't, but if I did, I would feel like a weak person. And I don't want to feel like a weak person, okay? Because naturally, there's a default mode, okay? Naturally, there are weak people, okay? And if you are not a strong person, you are naturally by default weak. Okay, so you have to find the way to become strong. Who doesn't want to be strong? I want to be strong. Everybody wants to be strong because you're more capable, because you're able to do more things, you're more valuable, everything in your life is better. So I always find a way to be strong in everything that it is. I go, what is the strong answer? What is the answer that gives me strength so I can avoid weakness? Because I know that weakness is naturally a default answer, and I don't accept weakness, okay? I only accept strength. That's the only thing that resonates with me. That's the only thing that I want. That's the only thing that I like is strength, because it's going to make me better, more successful. Okay? Next. You can solve every problem by labeling everything in your environment accurately. Okay, so if you look around right now, there's all sorts of stuff around you, and there's labels for it. Okay, if you can label all of the things in your room or wherever you are accurately, that is 50% of the problem already done, because you know what you're dealing with. When you know what you're dealing with or the things that are at play, and you can label them accurately, then you can start to solve problems easier. Okay, so if I don't know what something is, and I'm trying to solve a big problem, or I have a big project that I'm working on, and I can't label the parts of the problem or the parts of the project, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay? But when I can label those things accurately, when I can say, I know what this is, I know what this is, I can start to piece everything together. I can start to label everything accurately because I know what I'm doing. Okay? So when I look at all these things around me and I can start to label each one, then I can start to say, that's the problem. That's the solution. And these are all of the components that get to the solution. Okay? These are all the things that I needed to label that are going to get me closer to the solution. And that is the problem over there. Okay? So we want to think about labeling everything. Labeling the things, and we want to think about labeling them accurately. Okay? Because if I can't label the thing accurately, what happens is I don't know what I'm dealing with. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know the situation. Okay? So if you try to solve a problem, a big problem with something specific, and you don't know how to label it, you don't know exactly what component is missing or what the issue actually is, you can't solve the problem. Okay? You would have to replace the entire situation. Okay? So if you can't label that problem, it is extremely difficult to find the solution and label what the solution actually is. So we learned labeling in like elementary school. Okay, we learned what a desk is. We learned what a chair is. We learned all of these things. We learned how to label all of these things. And when we can label everything accurately, we can start to put everything together like a puzzle. So when I label all of this, I put the puzzle together, and that allows me to solve the problem, and then I know the steps to get to the solution. Okay, so we always need to label everything, and we have to do it accurately. Because if it's not accurate, then it's all fucked up. Okay? So label everything accurately, and that is 50% of the work to solve the problem and get to the solution. Okay? And that is almost, in most cases, the hardest thing to do is to correctly label the problem and label the solution so that you can know what to do to get to the result and become successful in that pursuit. Okay, next. Start your plans from the top goal or the end result and work into what would get you there. Okay, so we want to think about it from the top level. When I think about, I have to solve this problem, I know everything because I've labeled it correctly, and now I have to think about, okay, where do I want to go? Where do I want to end up? Where do I want to be big picture, strategically? What end result do I want to get to? Okay, and when you start there, you start from the top and you work your way down. I'm starting from all the way up here. I know exactly where I want to go. What things are going to get me there? What actions can I take from the top to the bottom that are going to get me to that end result eventually? Okay? So when you think about it from the top down, you already know where you're going to go. You already know how, you almost already know how you're going to get there because you know the end result, and then you already know most of the actions that you're going to have to take in order to get there, because the end result is just all the components that you need to work on. Okay, so always look at the things from the top down. Always look at the big picture. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to end up? And then break it down into smaller pieces that it's eventually just going to be like, if I do all of these little things, I'm going to get to the end result. Okay, so always start from where do I want to go, and then break it down into little pieces. And that's going to allow you to just be like, if I do this stuff over here, I'm going to get where I want to go. Okay, so always go top down. Always go solution first. The big picture is the solution, the end result that we're looking for. And what are all the problems that I can solve, or all the little things that I can fix in order to get to that end result. Okay, next. Just make other people happy. Okay, so if you find a way to just make someone happy and make them feel good, make them feel great, what you do is you naturally become a more happy person. Okay, I can't think of a better feeling than making someone happy. Okay, and let's say it could even just be something really super simple. You see someone who has their window rolled down and it's raining outside. Okay, and so you go tell them that, hey, your window is rolled up. That's almost better than if they got home or wherever they were and they just naturally rolled their window up because they knew it was going to rain. Because it's almost like you went and you told them and like, they're like, oh, that person's looking out for me. There's a little bit of shared happiness between you telling them and them receiving it. Okay? So if you just find a way to make people feel happy, you're going to be more happy, they're going to be more happy, everyone's just going to be better feeling, more happy. Okay? So sometimes you just got to find a way to be like, you know what? How can I find the good in this situation? How can I avoid, even if it's like a typical bad situation or something bad's happening, whatever. Okay? If you just ignore that and you say, I don't care if it's bad or whatever, I'm going to make this person happy. I'm going to make this person feel better. Dude, you're going to attract happiness. You're going to be more happy. They're going to be more happy. Everything's going to be better around you. In the circumstance, it's going to be better all over. So just find a way to make people happy, or make yourself, and that's going to make yourself more happy as well. Okay? Next. If I told you that getting in shape is just some pain, would that make it easier? Okay, the number one skill that you need in order to get in shape is just the ability to deal with some little amount of pain. If you can just say, I can deal with pain, or I don't feel like pain's an issue, then you're good to go. Because that is the biggest skill in order to get in shape, is just dealing with some pain. Okay, that's all it is. When you go into a gym, everything around you is just an object. Okay? And when you go and work out, everything is hard on you. And when you can just deal with some pain, and you can just feel it and internalize it and go, I understand that this is pain, and I understand that this is just a feeling, that this is just a state of whatever, and that if I can deal with pain, then I can be someone who's in shape, because that's 90% of the work. Okay? So when you go work out, just think, if I can deal with this pain, I can show up consistently, then I can be someone who is in great shape. Okay? Next, make sure you're doing the right thing and think, where will this take me if I continue to do it long term? Okay? So if you want to end up going and doing something, you're going to have to think about, okay, what are the actions that I need to take in order to get there? If you want to become the best skier ever, and you go and play baseball, you're never going to be the best skier ever. You want to think about, what are the right things to do in order to get here? Okay? Get to be the best skier ever. There's all these incremental steps. I'm sure they know how to use their skis. I'm sure they know how to use the little sliders underneath. I'm sure they know how to use everything very, very well. So if you break all of those down into, how do I use my right ski? How do I use my left ski? How do I make everything synchronized? Once you figure out how to do all of that, and you figure out how to do all that really, really well, then you're going to be the best skier. Okay, so break it down into pieces and understand that, like, if I just work on these right things, these few right things, then I will be someone who's just really good at all of this stuff, and that's going to get me where I need to go long term. Because if I just focus on all the right stuff and I do it a bunch of times, I'm going to get exactly where I need to go. Okay? And if we look at the opposite, so if I do the wrong thing 10,000 times and I'm extremely consistent with it and I'm extremely disciplined with it, let's say I'm fighting someone, okay? And if I wanted to knock someone out, okay, and I did 10,000 shin kicks, I kicked them in the shin 10,000 times, I still wouldn't knock them out, okay? Because my goal is to knock the person out, but I'm doing the wrong thing. Now, if I were to take 5 clean punches, I would have a much higher chance of knocking that person out, because I'm actually doing the right thing. So make sure you're not wasting all of your time, and even doing something 10,000 times won't get you the result if you're doing the wrong thing. So I would rather do the right thing 5 times and do the wrong thing. I mean, optimally, I'd rather do it 0 times. But even if you do it 10,000 times and you're doing the wrong thing, it's never going to get you there. Okay, so always make sure that you're focused and you are doing the right thing consistently. Okay? Next, life works by osmosis. Okay? And osmosis is absorbing everything. So when you go and you live daily life, normal life, everything, you absorb all of it. All of the little moments, the habits that you have, when you absorb all the people that you're around, all the experiences, what people say to you, you absorb everything. And even if it's in like little fractions, these aren't big moments, but you absorb everything, even if it's just a little bit. Okay? So if you have a bunch of great experiences and you are living a great life and have all these great moments, you absorb all of that great stuff. Okay, and that's what you want to be. You want to get towards all of the amazing stuff. So you just keep absorbing it. Okay, and that just keeps building you up. Now, sometimes you get in a situation where there's negative stuff, and you absorb negative stuff because that's how life is. Life happens by osmosis, and it's not that the negative stuff is even bad. Okay, life naturally has good stuff and bad stuff. But if you say, I absorbed this, It was bad. That is the osmosis of life happening. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making great things happen in this event. Okay? If you were to go and get in, a really bad situation for yourself, okay? Let's say you were to get into a car accident, because bad things can happen, and you absorbed the experience and the moments that happened, that led up, and everything else, everything that comes with that. You absorbed all of that. Sometimes you have to peel it off. Sometimes you have to get the glue, the goo off you. You have to get the goo off of you and peel it off of you, because you naturally end up absorbing things in life that aren't good, okay? And even if it impacts you a little bit, even if it was just something small and bad that happened, sometimes it sticks like goo, okay? So you have to peel it off, okay? So occasionally, you run into these bad things, and what do you do about them? Peel them off, get rid of them, and then you start to say, okay, I understand this is bad, but I'm going to find something good to deal with it, something good to feel about it, okay? This bad thing happened to me, bummer. You know what that means? That there's an opportunity in there for me to recognize that that is a bad thing, and for me to try to make it good. Whether that's benefiting me, benefiting my environment, benefiting my character, whatever it is. If I get into a car accident, it's really difficult to find a way to make that feel like something good happened, okay? But there's always some sort of trick. Your mind might tell you, oh, I'm gonna get in another car accident, or that was super traumatic, and whatever. And what you can do is you can be like, you know what? That was super traumatic. I'm the kind of person who goes through traumatic things and is fine on the other side. And the fact that I went through that traumatic event means that I'm the kind of person who can go through traumatic stuff and come out on the other side and be fine, be good, and even go back to normal or go back to better. Okay? So when you get in that spot where, man, this thing sucks, and I absorbed it. And even if it was an accident, even if it was just some crap you ended up running into, you can say, you know what? I'm going to take the right route in this. I'm not going to let it affect me too much. I'm not going to let it get its hooks in or whatever. I'm not going to let all this goo get on me. I'm going to peel it off. And then I'm going to make something good out of it. I'm going to make something that makes me feel better. Something, not even that makes me feel better. You know, sometimes it might make me feel better, but specifically, I'm going to make it so that it makes me better, makes my life better in any way, any way that I can. Okay? So sometimes, dude, osmosis happens. In life, we absorb good stuff, we absorb bad stuff, and we want to absorb all this good stuff. But sometimes you just end up absorbing bad stuff because it is life. And we got to get through that goo. We got to peel all that crap off, right? And we got to find a way to make it better for us, for ourselves. Because if we don't, we're just going to end up living a worse life over and over again. Okay? If we get stuck in that stuff, that's why I call it the goo. Because bad moments happen, and then sometimes people get stuck in them. And you see it, and you're like, no thanks. I don't like it. It's the goo. Okay? When you feel that, when you get in that spot and you feel that peel it off. Get rid of it. I don't like it. Keep it over there. I don't care. Even if it's enjoyable, whatever it is, peel it off. I don't like it. Okay? And now, sometimes it just peels itself off. Get in a car accident, it's a traumatic event. Don't let that self-doubt seep in. Oh man, I'm not a good driver. Or oh man, I'm gonna get in another car. Or oh man, something else is gonna happen to me that wasn't my fault. Whatever it is, okay? Take ownership. Say, you know what? It was my fault. I got into that situation. Even if it wasn't my fault, I should have been paying more attention. Okay? Always find a way that can just make it better. Okay? If you always find that way, that one way that just frames it so that your life is better, so that you can just figure out a way to make something that's just not good, something bad, and you can just find a way to make it better, you're going to be unstoppable. You're going to be the best ever. Okay, you're going to be the most successful person in existence if you can take all the good stuff and absorb it, and all the bad stuff and turn it into good stuff. You know what I mean? And so when we are doing that, because that's what we're doing, we're going to run into bad stuff. Okay, so we are doing that. We are running into bad stuff, and then we are saying, I am going to find a way to make this good, even if I don't feel like I have a choice. Even if I can't even seem to find anything good here, I'm still going to figure it out. I don't care. And that's going to make me super successful, and that's going to make me an unstoppable human being, because that's what I'm trying to do.